Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my to-be read pile for June and July of 2021. So you guys, it's another TBR for this time. It's going to be for June and July. So let's get into what I plan on reading for the next couple months. But first, how did my previous 2 months go? Very well to the point that I got done like a whole half a month early. You guys, I don't know how that happened. I miscalculated somewhere in there. I read certain books in my pile that I read for my previous TBR. I think I overcalculated, and I got done with some of them way quicker than I was initially anticipating. So I got done like a whole half a month earlier than anticipated. So I decided to get started on a book before I did head into June and July, obviously. So to finish up May, I did head into Chain of Iron, book 2 in the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare. Yeah, this was a pretty big book, so yeah, this was able to finish up that last half of May for me, so that was really good. Definitely really enjoyed this. Can't wait to do a review on it, you guys. So as I've been doing for this year, I've had my little year of rereading project, so I'm going to share with you the books that I plan on rereading for June and July. So up first for June, I'm going to be reading The Romanoff Prophecy by Steve Barry. And this book, you guys, I have reread this book quite a number of times. It's a little embarrassing how many times I've read this book, because this book is probably considered very cheesy and rather horrible, but it's like, I really love it. I really freaking love this book, you guys. It's not perfect at all. It's rather silly and crazy, but I still love it nonetheless. And yeah, I think this book, once I get into the premise and plot of this book with you guys, this book I think it's very dated at this point. It's a very incredibly dated book, and yeah, it just makes it, in hindsight, really unbelievable at this point. But yeah, the whole premise of this book, it's essentially kind of this alternative world almost, and Russia is deciding, hey, we're gonna go back to the czars. We're gonna bring back the czars. We're gonna bring back whoever the latest Romanov is. If you know the story of the Romanovs, they were executed quite brutally back in 1918, something like that. So yeah, that's what this whole book is, taking place in the present day, what would be considered the present day at the time when this book was written, because this was written sometime back in the mid-2000s, I think. But yeah, Russia is like, hey, we're going to bring back the Romanov dynasty. We're going to have, a vote and do things legally and whatnot. So in comes an American lawyer named Miles, right? Is his name Miles? Yes, his name is Miles. An American lawyer named Miles. He's coming in to represent Western interest, essentially, and help kind of the goings-on here. So Miles, he gets caught up in this whole big thing, people who are trying to stop, this from happening in Russia, from Russia bringing back the Romanovs and whatnot. So he gets wrapped into this whole big conspiracy, and it turns into a big mystery and a big thriller, and yeah, this big hunt, to find the true last Romanov survivor, the Romanov heir, essentially. And it's pretty crazy, you guys. And yeah, when I was talking about that this book is now dated, I want to say this book was written before, the last of the Romanov bodies were found and, examined and analyzed, I want to say. Because, there's always been all that speculation and theories, because for the longest time, two of the bodies, two of the children were missing. And so of course there's all the stuff like, oh, someone escaped, there's someone alive, this and that. So yeah, that's kind of what this book is messing around with, is kind of that whole speculation and theory, and of you know, maybe Anastasia lived, or her brother Alexei, or her sister Marie, or whoever, you know. A lot of that, playing around with a survivor that one of the children did not get assassinated, pretty much. And yeah, once again, this book is pretty much dated now, because those, you know, the bodies were discovered within like the last decade or two or something, weren't they? So they've been analyzed, and they've been determined to be the bodies of the last of the Romanov children, you know. So yeah, they've not been missing. No one survived or lived, you know. So yeah, this book, it's so horribly inaccurate, you guys. It's a horribly inaccurate book. It's very dated. It's very silly and absurd, the whole concept. But there's just still something about it that I weirdly enough love and enjoy. I'm very curious to reread this, because it has definitely been a good decade since I last reread this book, so I'm really curious to see how it holds up. So that's going to be my reread for June. So my reread for July, I'm going to read the Looking Glass Wars trilogy by Frank Better. This trilogy, you guys, we have the first book, which is called The Looking Glass Wars, and then the second book, which is called Arch Enemy, and then this third book is called Seeing Red. And if you can't tell from the title, The Looking Glass Wars, these are retellings of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland stories. I love this trilogy. This is a trilogy that I've reread a couple times in the past, but yeah, once again, with a lot of my books that I'm reading this year for my year of rereading, once again, another series that it's probably been a good decade since I've last read it. I'm curious to see how it holds up. If you don't know anything about the Looking Glass Wars, you know, other than them being retellings of Alice in Wonderland, it's definitely like more for like a kind of middle grade, young adult audience, and yeah, really puts a spin on the stories of Alice in Wonderland, and really turning Alice into a badass heroine. Yeah, she's kind of been exiled out of Wonderland, and she's like in the modern Victorian, you know, or not the modern, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. She's in like Victorian London when she gets exiled, and she has to try to find and fight her way back into Wonderland. And she even meets Lewis Carroll. So there's that. So that's kind of tying in there. These are just really cute, clever books. This whole trilogy. I love this retelling. There's been a lot of retellings of Alice in Wonderland over the past several decades, but I really love this one in particular. Just really turns Wonderland into this really epic, badass world. Yeah, the Mad Hatter. The Mad Hatter in this is one of my all-time favorite characters. He is a serious badass. We all know him, you know, he has his hat. In this, his hat, he can take it off, like throw it at somebody, and it can like decapitate somebody. It's like a badass hat. I love it. So yeah, that's essentially what this whole trilogy is about. It's about Alice trying to reclaim what is rightfully hers in Wonderland, because she is like the princess of this world, and she's trying to reclaim it. So she's like the true queen, and she has to steal it back from her evil aunt, who is the Queen of Hearts and whatnot. So that's pretty much it. There's a lot more that goes on other than that, but that's pretty much kind of the basics that you need to know. So yeah, if you love all things Alice in Wonderland, I definitely recommend this. Also, throughout this year, I've been trying to catch up on some Disney-related books that have just been piling up in my room for the longest time, so I'm definitely continuing that for this TBR. So up next, I'm going to be doing Mistress of All Evil by Serena Valentino, I do believe, yes. And this is an origin story for Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. And as always with these covers, you have this really cool cover here with Maleficent, and then you open it. I love these covers, you guys. You open it, there's and there's the dragon. Yeah, dragon underneath. I love those covers. I've kind of seriously been having a rough time with these Disney villains books so far this year, you guys. There's only really been one book out of this whole series that I've been enjoying so far. I've been having a rough time with it, but I'm trying to push through with all these books because they're short as it is. They're short and quick and to the point. I can read them very quickly, and yet it helps with my, you know, my Goodreads challenge for the year. So yeah, there's that one with Maleficent. And then up next is also the Twisted Tales series that I'm trying to make my way through. And this one is Part of Your World by Liz Braswell, and as the Twisted Tales books do, they are kind of manipulating and twisting some little aspect of the narrative that you're already familiar with, you know, to really push it in a different direction. So this one is asking, what if Ariel had never defeated Ursula? Uh-oh. What does that mean? Does it mean like what happens at the very end of the cartoon? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Do Ariel, you know, because if you've seen the cartoon, Ariel and Eric do defeat Ursula by the end of that cartoon. So is that what this is suggesting? Like if they don't defeat her by the end? Ooh, okay, I'm kind of all about that, to see what happens. Be all crazy under the sea, you guys. I can't wait. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this one at least. Hopefully the Maleficent one goes better than the previous books I've read for the Disney Villains series. But yeah, so far the Twisted Tales books, I have been loving every single one so far. I haven't had any issues with these books yet. I'm also going to be incorporating another Cassandra Clare book in this month, The Lost Book of the Whites by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu, part of the Shadowhunter universe. I'm not going to go all into that, but yeah, this is book 2 in this particular series that follows the characters of Alec and Magnus and their whole relationship. I'm not quite sure what the second book is about. I'm not even quite sure if it's even kind of going in sync with the previous book in the series, or if it's kind of jumping around a few years. I'm really not quite sure. I guess I'll find out when I read it. But yeah, I love the characters of Alec and Magnus. I love Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter world, and yeah, definitely can't wait to get to this. And then the last book that I plan on rereading for June and July is going to be A Tip for the Hangman by Allison Epstein. And you guys, let me read you this premise because it's pretty great. We take place in England, 1585. In Kit Marlowe's last year at Cambridge, he receives an unexpected visitor, Queen Elizabeth's spymaster, who has come with an unorthodox career opportunity. Her Majesty's spies are in need of new recruits, and Kit's flexible moral compass has drawn their attention. Kit, a scholarship student without money or prospects, accepts the offer, and after his training, the game is on. Kit is dispatched to the chilly manor where Mary, Queen of Scots, is under house arrest to act as a servant in her household and to keep his ear to the ground for a Catholic plot to put Mary on the throne. While observing Mary, Kit learns more than he bargained for. The ripple effects of his service to the crown are far-reaching and leave Kit a changed man. But there are benefits as well. The salary he earns through his spy work allows him to mount his first play, and over the following years he becomes the toast of London's raucous theatre scene. But when Kit finds himself reluctantly drawn back into the uncertain world of espionage, conspiracy, and high treason, he realizes everything he's worked so hard to attain, including the trust of the man he loves, could vanish before his very eyes. You guys, this is just so great. I don't think I've ever particularly read a book. Yeah, seriously, I don't think I've ever read a book where playwright Christopher Marlowe is the central protagonist. And yeah, he's turned into a spy for the Queen. He's trying to write his plays. I'm all about this book, you guys. This sounds pretty great. I can't wait. So you guys, that is it for my TBR plans for June and July. In the comments below, what do you guys plan on reading for, you know, the next month or two? Whatever is, you know, floating your boat your way. Just let me know what you plan on reading. Have you read any of the books that I just had on this list? Do you plan on reading any of them? Have you read them? Just let me know. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.